Ms. Kelly.
Second.
We have a second by Dr. Malco. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Is there any correspondence this evening, Ms. Kelly?
There is not, Mrs. Seuss.
All right, and we are going to forego our liaison committee updates, so we'll move into our official school board business topics consent agenda. Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For this evening, we are going to table the approval of the minutes from the previous executive session and regular board meeting of March 17th, and we'll address that at the next meeting. In the meantime, I am seeking the board's approval for the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures that you received in your board packet last week.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Malco, and I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And there are no public comments regarding action items, so we'll move into our official school board business topics regular agenda. Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For our first item, I'd like to bring up Mrs. Regan from the Lake Central High School to recognize some of our students.
Let me get my papers here. So we are going to recognize a couple of students. I'm going to read a little bit about their achievement. The criteria for their achievement occurred on February 26, 2025. Two students from Mrs. Combus's Principles of Entrepreneurship class competed in the PNW Society of Innovators inaugural Northwest Indiana High School pitch competition. Student teams had 4 minutes to share their pitch, followed by questions from the judges. Out of 16 teams of students, only 5 teams were selected as winners. Each winning team was awarded $200 to invest in their business idea. Miranda Gutierrez and Maishan Dostin were awarded the prize for Leaf Away, which they will present for you this evening. So Miranda and Maishan, if you'd like to come up here, along with Mrs. Combus, please.
Is there a certificate delivery? Congratulations. Congratulations on a job well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Nice work, Dawn. Way to go. But you guided them, right? Thank you. Okay, and stay here for a picture. Well, that wasn't very nice of me. Nice work.
And actually, if you wouldn't mind coming back up, so you don't have to stay through the rest of our board meeting, I'm going to throw it over to Mrs. Schooneman, and she's going to introduce you to show us your pitch.
So I'd like to invite Miranda and Maishan back up. We were so excited that we actually put you on 2 agenda items. So you're under Mrs. Castaneda and on mine. And so they're going to present their Leaf Away design that won them the competition. We're very excited. This is the original presentation.
Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Miranda Gutierrez,
And I'm Maishan Dawson.
and today we're going to be presenting to you our invention, Leaf Away. So, what's the problem? The problem that we are trying to solve are leaves. Leaves not only ruin the look of your yard, but they also cause you unnecessary stress. And over 75% of Americans either rake their own lawn or they hire out.
The most common solution to this problem right now is raking and leaf blowing, but raking take way too much of your time and energy, not to mention that you're out there in that blistering cold doing back cramping work. But leaf blowing, though more convenient, I mean, you're still out there in that blistering cold, and all you have is a big pile of leaves that you have to pick up anyways.
So, what's the solution? We came up with Leafaway, which is an automatic robot that picks up leaves so you don't have to, with a touch of a button. So, how does it work? Leafaway will be controlled through an app on your phone, and you're going to be able to set a boundary of your front yard so it will follow. Once it is done doing its job and sucking up all the leaves and blending it down, it will go back to its charging component, which it will dump all the leaves there, and you're going to be able to take it all out at the end.
And this is our rough draft with all the different components in our invention.
So for our revenue model, we're going to be selling each robot and the charging station at $1,500 each. And as you can see, there is a model up on the screen, and we created 3 different types of estimates of how much we can sell our first year, a low, medium, and high. And the one that is on the board is our moderate sales estimate, which is around 2,000 units our first year, which is around $3 million in revenue. Our goal is to increase the number of sales by 48% each year, which is very doable. And to reach this goal, we're going to be promoting our invention on social media pages and also on ads. Sorry.
Yeah, and our autonomous lawn vacuum cleaner keeps your lawn pristine and tidy by automatically collecting your leaves so you don't have to.
So for our traction slide, because this is still an idea and we have not yet made it a reality, we do not have any current sales yet, but we did put out a survey to house owners about different yard work problems. We asked I don't know. Sorry. Okay, so we do not have any current sales yet, but we did put a survey out to house owners about common problems. We did ask if raking was time consuming. Over 50% said very, over 30% said yes, and less than 10% said no. We also asked if they hire out for raking or they do it themselves. And over 80% said yes, they do hire out, which showed that they're trying to find an alternative to raking because they don't want to do it themselves. We did also create a mid-fidelity prototype of our of Leafaway, which performs the common functions of Leafaway, which is moving back and forth and being able to pick up leaves, which I will do that right now because technically this is the end of our slides, but I did add 2 more about the competition we went to. So I'm going to hold this right here. I can see. Yeah, so I created this with the Lake Central robotics team here, actually. I'm not on the Lake Central team, but I've been doing robotics for the past 7 years. And I have a pretty good idea on how to build a robot and how to make one. So we created it's easy, it's a simple drivetrain with a intake on it, which it's obviously, this is not what the real thing's gonna look like, but it does do the common functions of picking up the leaves and collecting them, which it doesn't really store them or blend them yet, but this is what it usually will do. So that's that. Thank you. So our Purdue competition that we went to on February 26th, we did end up going, and there were 16 teams, as you heard. It was very educational. We learned a lot of things from different teams, from all different high schools. And then we did get a $200, which we do not yet know what we're going to spend that on. But because it's so late in the year, we might just spend it next year. Do you have anything to say about the competition?
Well, just as she said, I did learn some things too. There were a lot of great ideas that I saw that inspired me to get into doing something like this.
And then last but not least, from the Purdue competition, I did get in touch with Mont Hanley, who is he is not only a politician, but he's also the Associate Director of the Commercialization and Manufacturing Excellence Center at Purdue Northwest. He is also a former Shark Tank contestant, and he got in touch with me and asked to do a Zoom call, which I will be doing a Zoom call with him tomorrow, actually at 3:30 p.m. So he wants to talk to me about, thank you. He wants to talk to me about furthering my idea and also talk about the new plans, because obviously he has a lot of experience. His invention, Pit Moss, actually has a net worth of $1.14 million right now, and they have an estimate to sell around $25 million this year for revenues, which is awesome. So I have a lot to talk to him about this tomorrow, because it's really cool. And he's also kind of in the same field of yard work, because it's like soil. He creates soil and he includes paper in it, so it's like recycling. But yes, this is our invention. Any questions? Yeah, any questions?
I feel like we're on Shark Tank.
Yes, very similar. Yes, Paige.
I don't know that much about Shark Tank because I don't watch it, but your lingo sounds like something
Yes.
I've heard on there.
Thank you, yeah.
Very professional.
Yes, we watch it a lot in Miss Compass's class, so big thing.
I'm sure they're all taking investments.
Yes, we are. But yes. All right.
You're not with robotics?
No, so I am not on the LC robotics team. I have a private team, but I did work with the robotics team with this, and next year I will be doing more of metal robots with my private team. But yeah, I've just been doing it. I've been doing robotics since 4th grade, so I've been in it for a long time.
Did you do that at elementary level?
Yeah, so I did elementary and then middle school, but it was all through private. But I did do, my first year was in Bibbich, actually. So, yeah, I did do. It was with Miss Snow, yes.
Cool.
Thank you.
I see the robotics team is going to Texas, did I see?
Yes, they're going to Dallas, Texas to compete in the World Championship. Yes. Yeah, our team's actually, we're going as well, so we'll see them there. So it was really cool.
How about you? Do you do robotics on the side?
No, not really. I didn't get that much experience as she did, but I have gotten experience with coding. That has been my dream since of 8th grade, and I've took classes in the school and even in Air Career Center on different stuff on that, as well as like hardware and software stuff on the computer. So yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
So do you do VEX robotics or a different?
Yeah, I do VEX, yeah.
And the one that Lake Central does is?
It's VEX as well, but it's a different type. So the one that I used to do was VEX IQ, and they do VRC, which next year I'll be doing VRC because of my age. Yeah, there were. Yes, they are.
Thank you both for that wonderful demonstration. You are welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting, but if you have other things that you need to attend to, you're more than welcome to leave too.
That was so cool.
All right, so my next item for Dr. Veraco is the legislative update. Important pieces of legislation continue to be hotly debated at the Indiana General Assembly. This is expected to continue over the next 3 weeks as elected officials finalize the components of each in a year with tight finances. Some key bills to keep in mind is Senate Bill 287, which talks about partisan school board elections. The current language has no primary requirement and allows individuals to run as an independent. There are some legislators, including ours, who do not see this legislation as a way to get more candidates for the positions. While we agree and prefer not to see this pass into law, we will continue to be focused on the key financial pieces of legislation. Those key financial pieces are Senate Bill 1, which is the property tax reform bill. New amendments were introduced this morning by House Republicans. House Republicans have been concerned about taking away operations funding given the expected tight budget and also limitations on tuition support for the next 2 years. Many members of the Indiana General Assembly have expressed a desire to avoid significant cuts, which would hurt cities, towns, and of course, schools. And then House Bill 1001 is the budget bill. The Senate is still amending this year's budget. Next week, the state will receive the final revenue forecast, which will play a significant role in determining the final allocation and breakdown of the next 2-year budget. Much greater clarity on both Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 1001 will be shared at our next gathering on April 21st. Thanks to our school board and other residents who appreciate the quality education being delivered in public education for writing to our elected officials to seek meaningful support in this year's budget. We also continue to encourage our stakeholders to reach out to our elected officials to ask them to protect public schools during this inflationary environment. Any questions?
No, but I would like to echo what Dr. Vracko said at the very end about thanking school board members and other residents who have taken the time to reach out and send either emails or Facebook messages to our senators and House of Representatives members. We've had a strong group that have been doing this, and it's not just Lake Central, it has traveled around, so it's very exciting. I just hope that they read our messages. I know it's best to be short and sweet, so maybe they'll get the message that way. It sounds like we're making some progress.
Hopefully. I think once that revenue forecast comes out, we just have to be prepared to continue to weigh in with our legislators about the importance of public education. Any other questions? Okay. Sure.
And then again, our Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. My only item this evening is to seek your approval for the personnel recommendations, the revised copy that you received tonight.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly. And second from Dr. Malco. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our Director of Primary Education, Dr. Bracy.
Good evening. For my first item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave request in your packets.
Motion to approve?
And I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you. And for my next item, I am seeking your approval for the field trip request in your packets.
Move for approval.
We have a motion from Dr. Malco, and I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
And our Director of Secondary Education, again, Mrs. Schooneman.
Thank you. For my first item, I'm seeking the board's approval for the professional leave request included in your packet.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly.
Oh, wow, yeah, second, nice things going on here.
Excellent things.
Yeah, cool.
All right, any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you. For my second item, I'm seeking the board's approval for the field trip request also included in your revised packet.
Move for approval.
Motion from Dr. Malco, and I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. My third item we already did with the student presentation. Just thank you again to the students for coming out and parents for supporting. Mrs. Regan, thank you for being such a great supporter of the business department. And then, of course, our teacher, Ms. Combes, just shout out to all of them. Fantastic to see the students performing like that and the confidence. So just thankful that they could share with us tonight.
Agreed. And now our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Gramala.
Thank you. My first item tonight is to seek your approval for the professional leave requests that were included in your board packet.
approval.
We have a motion from Dr. Malco,
I'll second.
second from Ms. Kelly. Any discussion or questions?
Well, Mrs. Gramella, would you define neurodiversity? I think I know what it means, but I always like hearing it from you.
Neurodiversity is a term that just references students who learn in different ways. So it's a way to reference basically students with different abilities.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, for my next item, I'm sharing some exciting news. Lake Central has been awarded a grant from the Indiana Department of Education to allow us to provide some additional supports to students with disabilities who also have behavioral difficulties. So this was a competitive grant from the Indiana Department of Education. I included the list in your board packet, so I don't know how many districts across the state applied, but only 51 districts were awarded the grant. So we were one of 51 districts chosen. We weren't given a lot of parameters, and so we reached for the stars and applied for as much as we could think of. So we were awarded $116,000, which is very exciting. So we chose in our grant application to focus on our elementary schools because we really believe that early intervention is key. And if we can get to students early and address problems, we'll see greater success down the road. So our grant is going to focus on our 6 elementary schools and will allow for us to provide some on-site professional development and coaching to our teachers. What we want to get away from is this idea of sending people off to professional development and then they get very excited when they go away to PD and then they get back to their classroom and are thrown back in and are overwhelmed and it's difficult to then implement what they learn. And so this will allow them to have some PD and coaching right in their classroom and on-site. And it will also give them access to a curriculum, a data tracking software for them to track behavior. So that will happen across all 6 of our elementary schools. And then we will also have some additional support for our ED program, our program for students with emotional disabilities at Pfeiffer. And then some additional support for our elementary principals on how to support these students with behavioral difficulties. So very excited about it, and we are going to be working with a group called Threshold Learning Consultants. So they've been involved in our program at Pfeiffer this year, helping us, and they've been on site with us at Pfeiffer. We've had a really good experience so far this year. And so we're excited to be able to bring them to our other buildings and kind of expand our work with them. Where are they from? They're based in Chicago, but it's actually the main, their head is worked in the region previously. So they're a nonprofit, and they really are, most of their work they do is with schools.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. And then for my next item, I just wanted to recap. I know Mrs. Talent stopped by. We, our Lake Central Special Education Parent Advisory, along with our TAP teachers, hosted a resource fair for our community. So we had about 70 exhibitors here providing resources to families of students with special needs. So this whole area out here and then out in front of our central office was filled with tables. And so we had about 70 exhibitors. We tried to keep track of the number of community members who came through. Our rough estimate was around 150. It was a great night. We had our TAP students giving tours of their program, also providing coffee and tea, as they do during the school day, via their coffee cart to our visitors. And it was really a great night. The parents who came through were overwhelmed with the amount of resources and just were grabbing everything they could off of every table they could visit and said they were going to go home and go through everything. We had wonderful feedback. We had some parents who asked if we could do it twice a year, to which our SEPA board members just sighed and said there's no way they could manage it more than once a year. But it was really wonderful. So I give huge kudos to Our SEPA Advisory Board, which I'm not going to list all their names because I'm afraid I will forget someone, but they are fantastic. Our TAP teachers, Gigi Bisius and Zoe Miller, who helped with that. And then our high school administrators, Mary Reby, Kara Kleich, and Cameron Kane, who were here all night, and our high school custodians who started setting up tables early in the day and were here late in the evening taking everything down to make sure everything was ready for students. So it was absolutely a team effort, and they did a great job, and it was so appreciated by the families who came through. So it was a great night, and we will be making it an annual event, not twice a year, but an annual event. So it was a great night.
Well, Mrs. Talent did share with me that she did go and how wonderful it was, and I do appreciate whoever posted those pictures on Facebook.
Yes.
Because it brought it to life for me.
Yeah,
So,
we had,
thank you.
our publication students were here taking pictures, and those contributed to the Facebook post too, so.
So when was this held?
It was April 1st.
April 1st, okay. And so an example of what type of presenters did you have, or?
We had staff from the Department of Ed here, we had financial planners, we had, the Y was here, we had martial arts, we had therapy providers, it was a wide range of recreational activities, therapeutic activities, just a huge range of resources for families.
Well, I think reaching out to the community is awesome, and partnering with them when what you built through this SEPA and to develop it into even a higher level, because SEPA was at the meeting I was at last year, I believe. So you've taken it to a new level, which is very cool. And, you know, I congratulate you on your assistance for the staff members, especially principals that deal with students with emotional disabilities. When I was principal at an elementary school in Crown Point, I had 2 EH classes. And you learn, but it's a hard way to learn. So thankfully, you're giving them tools and strategies, and that's good, very good.
Well, thank you.
That's great.
Thank you. And now our Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledger.
I think for ours, we should reconvene.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, for my agenda item tonight, we have a plaque here from Schmidt & Associates, which I'm going to present to Mrs. Suze. At the open house on March 15th, we had a bibbage for the new building addition. We had a facsimile of the plaque. It wasn't quite ready. Schmidt & Associates, the architect on record for the project, wanted to kind of give this to Lake Central for a great job. They enjoyed very much. So we now have the real plaque. We'll get it up this week. But I want to give this to Mrs. Suze and the rest of the board.
Yes. Oh, nice. Is it heavy?
It's kind of heavy. So it's kind of heavy. So you want to, I can hold it for you.
Perfect. And you're going to get in the picture?
How's that?
No.
Here, Sarah, why don't you get,
Sarah, why don't you?
yeah, you should come over here to balance the plaque then. You got it? I've got it.
I'll pretend. And try to.
And that will be hung at Bibbage?
Yes.
Near the others?
It's going to be hung right as you walk in the main entry. right beside door A.
And thank you, Mr. Ledyard, for your guidance and expertise. I don't know if we're ready.
That's all I have.
Thank you. And our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Thank you. My first item is to seek your approval for the revised donations that were included in, at your workstation.
Move for approval.
Motion from Dr. Malco, and I will second that. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. My second item is to seek your approval for the professional leave request that was included in your board packet for myself, Dr. Veracco, Mrs. Castaneda, and Mr. Sopko to attend the IASBO annual meeting in Fort Wayne, May 7th through 9th.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly,
Second.
second from Dr. Malco. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. My next time, I just want to give the board a review of our annual insurance costs. There's been a lot of talk in the General Assembly about limiting how much we can allow our operations fund to potentially grow over the next 3 years when we normally are allowed a 3 to 4% increase. There's talk, and we'll see what happens here in the next couple of weeks, of freezing that next year, then only a 1 and 2% increase the following year. Legislators will say, well, we're not cutting you, we're just limiting your increase. The problem is that we have our operating costs increase annually each year for various things that we can't control, and then therefore, when we're flatlined in the amount of revenue we're bringing in, then it really is a cut to some of those other programs because we'll have to use education fund money to offset those increased costs on the other end. So I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of a summary here of what we've seen with our, for example, our insurance costs, our property insurance, our auto insurance, and so forth. And just over the past 4 years, our coverage, and this is just the premiums, has increased about 17% each year. And so if you look from 2022 to 2025, that compounded amount is approximately 60% higher now than what we were paying in 2002. Again, the numbers I included in your board packet are just our annual premiums. So there, in addition to our insurance costs, our health insurance premiums that we provide for our employees have also increased. I show that on the bottom. What's interesting to note is the amount of people in our pool, covered employees and who are taking our insurance, is decreasing each year. But because of the trend and the increase of cost of healthcare in this country, it's easily a 15% increase each year in health costs that we all experience on the pharmaceutical side, doctor visit side. So we have to make up that cost since we are a self-insured fund paying for those health insurance claims for our employees. Another big piece I didn't include on here is school buses. We try to replace 6 to 10 buses a year. You'll see that as part of my annual presentation for the budget, and that those costs have increased over 25% per bus. So we've been making waves with that, but at some point we're going to have to reduce services, unfortunately, that we potentially provide to our kids and to our staff to offset these costs that we have no control over. So we manage it now. So we rely on that 3% or 4% that we would get annually in our revenue increase. That doesn't, 4% is not the same as a 16% or 17% increase, but it's just want to let you and the public know when we hear of some of these legislative things that, not only has been talked about for the last 2 or 3 months, but as Mrs. Castaneda said this morning, the House Ways and Means Committee added an amendment to Senate Bill 1, 300 some pages, with no financial report yet. So we'll see how that plays out, whether or not that gets approved by the House, and then we'll go to conference committee, and then we'll see what happens here in the next 3 weeks in the legislative session. But all indications are that there's going to be some sort of property tax relief for homeowners, and as many homeowners are, it's like, hey, that's great. Everybody would like to have their property taxes go down a little bit, but the reminder is people's property taxes go for services. They go for services from your cities and towns, they go for services from the county, and they go for services from the school. So if you pay less, you're going to get less. And it's that what's the tipping point where people are comfortable with what they're paying. So we're going to see some sort of property tax reform. What happens in the next 3 weeks, we'll have to wait and see, and we will adjust accordingly. So, any questions on kind of like that operational cost piece that we're all fighting? And this isn't just Lake Central. This is everybody. And one of the reasons I wanted to mention it on the insurance piece, we don't have many property casualty insurance claims here. We have a great upkeep in our buildings, but your insurance costs are based on, well, what's it going to take? If a storm wiped out one of our buildings, we need to be insured to cover the cost of rebuilding that building. Well, we've all seen what the cost of construction has gone for the last 4 or 5 years. So if the cost to rebuild a building is 50, 75, 100% more expensive than it was, that's going to reflect our coverage. And so sometimes these rates aren't necessarily reflective of our activity or claims. It's just the market, and it's something we can't control. So even though we don't file any claims, and hopefully we won't have to for something substantial like that, that doesn't get out of us paying 60% more in our annual premium. Again, it's something we fight. There's a reasoning behind it, and I won't go off on other areas on insurance, but there's floods and storms and hurricanes all across the country, which insurance companies need to rake in those losses there, so they kind of spread those around to everybody else too. So that's just a whole nother piece, but that. So any questions on the operating costs before I move on? Okay. And then my last item is, I just want to end on a bit of good news. Each year, our school buses and all school buses across the state are required to get annually inspected by the state police. And this year, 2 state police officers came over spring break and spent 2 days here doing safety checks and doing their required inspections. So 88 buses were inspected, and all of our buses were determined to be safe to be on the road, no issues there. And so this year, 95% of our buses did not need to have any aspects rechecked. Last year, we were at 87%, and so when you that does not mean like 5% or 13% were deemed to be unsafe. It just means maybe the tires are starting to get a little bit worn, or what I didn't know is that when you're looking at a school bus and you see the lights flashing, that's not just one bulb in there, it's made up of many bulbs in each cell, and different light bulbs go out over time. And so if it starts to get a little dim, because maybe more bulbs are out, then they'll have to have them what's called a recheck and have them redone. So it's little things like that that go into that percentage. But according to the police officers, apparently that 95% is really, they only see that with fleets that are about a third our size, of 30 or less. And normally for districts our size, it's more so in the upper 70s, low 80%. So our guys are doing a great job, and we want to take a moment and recognize the mechanics, Larry, Adam, Paul, and Andy down there, who do a wonderful job keeping our kids and our drivers safe each and every day. And then on another note, they noted how well clean and how well kept those buses are, and that is something that the drivers do at their route each day. They clean up, and so it's a whole team effort, just like in everything we do. But we want to give some good praise to that transportation department. So that's all I have.
That is just very, very awesome, though, Mr. James.
Yes, we were very excited when we received that information from our director down there today, or last week.
And like you said, the cleanliness, but, it's just part of Lake Central. You look at the cleanliness in the buildings and the way the exteriors look, and that level of expectation that things will be neat and tidy and clean. It's pretty awesome. Is it possible, Mrs. Castaneda, that we could have these gentlemen come in and thank them for their work?
Sure, I'll speak with Chuck Strieber, our director.
You're awesome, thank you. They really deserve a big round of applause from us, don't they?
Yep.
You
Yes.
sure do.
Wow, that's nice.
All right, and now on to our public comments portion, and we have one person signed up, Mila Kovacevic.
Yes, good evening. My name is Mila Mike Kovacevic. I'm a parent of a, is that this beeping?
I don't know.
Okay. So I'm a parent of a elementary school student here in Lake Central. The other day, there was a flyer that came along with my son, and it was a author, a former LC grad student that is reading a children's book that he authored. And normally I wouldn't even look to or give it a second thought, but decided to look up his name. As an Orthodox Christian parent, I found it offensive that his book is called Adventures of Mumu. Not the title itself, but like the book itself, even the review that he posted on his Facebook profile page talks about self-identification. Self-identification should come from the home and from the parents. It shouldn't be taught in the school by anyone. In his Facebook profile, he has gunkle. I had to look up. I'm not sure what a gunkle is, but it's a gay uncle. He's obviously part of the LGBTQ movement. This is a picture of him as a vampire on his Facebook profile. If my son was a little bit older, I probably wouldn't mind, but he's first grade. This is what the school district is bringing in to speak with first graders. Not one picture, there's a lot of pictures of vampires, and whether you guys are familiar with this, but love is a slogan by NAMBLA, which is part of the National Association of Man-Boy Association. You could look it up. I'm not making stuff up. This is facts. It's in part of the Office of Justice Programs. They define it. Love is love. If this was out in the public, I would walk the other way. This should not be confronted with first graders. And I deal as a parent, and you guys probably do too, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers and sisters. Children this young are so influenceable. I tell my child, don't flex like the sport athletes that they see on TV. They're so impressionable. I don't want this type of person, whether his book is mundane or anything, but like if you just look into it, it's about a hippo/cat that goes on a journey of self-identification. Self-identification is literally part of the transgender movement. Like, I'm not trying to beat anything down, but like, this shouldn't be influenced on first graders. Wait till junior high so they have a better understanding. Like, literally, this person is proud of posting, there's other things of posting witches and vampires on this. It was the last second thing. I was like, let me just see who's going to be speaking to my son. And not only that, the pamphlet was buy his book for $13 autographed. You could buy it on Amazon for like half the price. I guarantee other parents like myself don't know about this. Do other parents look up who's going to be speaking to our child in school? No. I guarantee you guys don't have, in a month from now, a priest or a nun reading about the story of Jesus. I guarantee that's not going to happen at the elementary school. Come on, guys. Like, who's vetting this? Who's putting this type of stuff in elementary schools? Please.
Sir, was that school-wide, or was it just for the first graders, or do you know?
Just for Coling Elementary. I would imagine it would be for
The entire school?
the entire, like, His book says it's for children from 3 to 9. And my last question is, why do the LGBTQ always want to read to children? Why don't they go to the elderly homes and read to the elderly? They would love attention too. I mean,
Could I ask another question? What is the author's name again?
so it's a former LC grad, and the author's name is Joe Komara. Joe Komara. Komara.
Oh.
He might be a nice person, but like, I don't want children this young, especially my son. I guarantee, and I ran against you, Cindy. Congratulations, by a good race. I got 9,000 votes. I was 1,801 votes from sitting up there with you guys. So I represent at least half of the constituents here. Throw us a bone. This can't be allowed. I mean, unless you have a priest next week reading to the first graders and telling some story from the Bible. But I guarantee that won't happen. This can't be pushed. I mean, literally vampires on his Facebook profile page. Maybe he was an actor doing that. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was Halloween. I'm not okay with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and next are board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Dr. Malcolm.
I just want to keep celebrating good things. The robotics team going to Texas. The Grimmer Choir going to, is it New York or Washington, D.C.? New York. New York to sing. I think that's just so exciting. There was another one that, good luck to Mr. Richardson and the skills competition. I'm sure there's other groups that are participating in that, so good luck to them. And Mr. Clark, Josh Clark, had indicated, and I think I shared it with all of you, that the academic Super Bowl team from Lake Central was once again the Lake County champions. So that's the academic Super Bowl. Now, the way that's structured is you have a team that represents English, you have a team that represents science, you have a team that represents history, and then you have a team that represents fine arts. And so those 4 subgroups compete against the schools from Lake County. And I was just so absolutely pleased that they had been champions for several years in a row. Exciting, huh?
Very.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. I'd just like to share the good things that are going on and the things that I hear. I'm sorry for your concern, sir. But there's again, a lot of good things going on, and just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly.
And Janice said it best, so I'm just going to give that back to
We'll
Mrs.
third
Seuss.
that. So, and now we'll turn it over to Mrs. Castaneda for board calendar of future activities.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we have our iGuardian parent presentation this Thursday, April 10th, here in the LGI at 6 p.m. That's a presentation for parents only on how to keep your children safe online. Do highly recommend this for parents of all ages, elementary, middle, or high school. And we also have our senior honors night that same night in the auditorium. And then we'll be back here in 2 weeks for our next board meeting on Monday, April 21st.
And that is at 6 o'clock on Thursday?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And we are adjourned.